Hello everyone and welcome to It's Our Time with Scott Ryan. Today we're going to take a look at a Q&A that I did in Dallas at the Texas Theater where the guests were Natasha, Gregson, Wanger, and Balthazar, Getty. It was for a Lost Highway screening, which was pretty darn exciting. This was the first time the two of them had reunited, and I interview them and then they take some questions from the audience. If you are in the LA area next weekend, which is June 23rd and 24th, come out to Lumiere Cinema where Natasha is going to be there again with me, and we're going to do another screening of Lost Highway. In Dallas, she helped me introduce the movie as well, and I think she's going to do that again in LA. And let's take a quick, short 2-minute look at our introduction before we get into the Q&A.
My name is Scott Ryan, and we're here for Lost Highway. And I have a very special guest next to me from Lost Highway is Sheila herself, Natasha Gregson. And we wanted to introduce the film. Did you want to explain everything that happens from start to finish?
It's a pretty straightforward film, right? Pretty linear.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing tricky.
No. Very, very easy to understand.
How many people have seen Lost Highway before?
Oh, wow.
So we've got a lot of people.
And
And
still got
is anyone who hasn't seen it? What do you think, Natasha? Should we tell them the end?
I'll tell a funny story.
Would it matter?
Understanding.
Yeah.
I'll leave that till the end.
So what we're going to do is we're going to watch Lost Highway. Then Natasha and Balthazar Getty will be here. We're going to do a Q&A. After the Q&A, I'll be back. I wrote a book about Lost Highway, and Natasha was nice enough to be in it. And so is Balthazar. We'll be back there signing copies of the book.
It's a great book. I highly recommend for any David Lynch fans.
Go on.
Or any fans in general, just people that like to read. I highly recommend it. I mean, any in the human race, it's a great book for all humans.
And also, she has a documentary about her mom that is wonderful
Yes.
as well. So,
Yes.
you know, if you're going to plug me, I'm going to plug you.
On HBO.
I just said plug me. All right, well, we're going to start Lost Highway. See you on the other side, folks, especially you people. Your brain is about to get smashed.
Isn't she just so adorable? I loved her so much. In my Lost Highway book, I said in my special thanks, because if you buy any of my books, you should always read my special thanks because they're humorous. I said, Natasha, Gregson, Wanger, and I should be best friends. I think it could happen someday. My wife listened to the interview and agreed. I've loved her since Two Girls and a Guy. You can read more of our interview in my upcoming book about 90s films. Call me Natasha. Let's be BFFs. Well, I gave her a copy of this book in Dallas, and then she read it on the plane ride home and texted me, hey, BFF, I loved your book. So, we're BFFs now, okay? If you get it in a text, if they text you BFF, that's binding. Yeah, that's legal. So please enjoy my interview with my BFF and Balthazar Getty.
We have two of the stars from the movie, and this is the first time they're doing an appearance like this. They haven't been together since 97 when this movie came out. Ladies and gentlemen, Natasha Gregson Wanger and Balthazar Getty. Thank you guys so much for coming out and doing this.
Pleasure.
Let's start with how David Lynch came into each of your lives. Who wants to go first? Natasha, how did David Lynch come into your life?
I got a call from my agent at the time, who said that he wanted to meet with me about the film. So I went to his house, and he made me coffee. And he told me that he met me actually at an AFI event when my mom was pregnant with me and I was in her stomach. And so that's how he first remembered me. And he talked to me about the film, said that he wanted me to play the role of Sheila. He doesn't audition people, so he just offered me the part right then and there and said to be patient because they didn't have all the financing and he was still pulling the cast together. And I was very patient. And I think it took a bit of time. And then, well, I don't remember. I think he cast me before he cast you.
Yeah, I think he'd seen me in the next scene, and then like Tash said, he doesn't read his actors, so it was a conversation, and he pretty much.
Did he make you coffee?
Do what?
Make you coffee?
Those are, so first we met in his office, and then when I actually got the film, me and Patricia, he had us do some pretty intense rehearsals at his house. That's when we get coffee and did other things.
Would you ask for cream and sugar that David Lynch didn't make coffee? Or?
He didn't make cappuccino. So I didn't make any sugar.
That's perfect. Tell me something about Natasha. Her performance in this film was so very great that you were right there watching it. What did you learn from her?
Well, I can tell you that there were nights when she would cry because David had very specific notes for her to sort of do this kind of a monotone performance. And I think for her at the time she didn't understand. None of us did. And I think it was hard at times. But then of course we see the film now and realize how brilliant she was. And it is. And she's the godmother of my firstborn, and I was with her last week.
I love that. Natasha, what kind of direction did you get from David? I know he never gave straight direction. It's always around the corner. Do you remember anything specific from him?
I remember that he told me not to worry too much about what the film is about or what my take or understanding was about the big picture. He just wanted me to connect to Sheila and to connect to Balthazar. And Balthazar and I had done a film together previously, and we were also friends, so it was nice that we had that history before we went into it. I think he knew that. I don't know. He kind of call. He doesn't give a lot of direction, right? Or
I mean, is this mic better than this?
yeah, mine is better than yours.
We need Natasha.
Obviously.
What was their contract?
I have it on mine.
Well, there's a few stories out there. The one I like to talk about is it was early on in the shoot, and we could go take after take after take, and I felt like I wasn't able to deliver for him. In fact, I was almost on the verge of tears. And we could take 10, 11, 12, 13, and finally he said, we'll break for lunch and we'll come back. And as an actor, that's not good. So after lunch, you move on to the next setup. I remember going to my trailer and he wrote me a letter. And in the letter, it said, this scene was with me and my parents. I'm not sure if it's in the film or not, but they were giving me a meal. And it was a small scene, but he said that in his letter he wrote to me, he said, I want you to imagine that when you get the food, the parents are giving you, that you will never grow old and you will never become ill. And I want you to imagine that there's a hummingbird sitting on your dad's head, singing you a lullaby.
lot of music on set. Do you remember that?
That was one of the great things that David does is he has PAs everywhere and will blast the music. And a lot of the way that I research characters and prepare for a movie is often through music, and David was the same way. So we would sit and we would listen to music all day long. And I can remember seeing specifically, I think we were walking into a right, and he had music blasting.
Yeah.
Great.
You've written a lot of music, and that's sort of your passion now. Have you ever written a song about any of your characters that you played? Maybe Red from Twin Peaks, or maybe Pete from Lost Highway?
I mean, not specifically, but it was really fun going back and working with doing Red, doing any character, and working with David again. But I mean, I always write from experience, so I'm sure there's something in there, but not something that I could really point out and say the two are connected.
Did you notice any different in David as an artist from Lost Highway to Twin Peaks or Return?
Not really. I mean, it was fun because at this point we sort of had a shorthand with each other, and it was fun because we were working with a younger actor who had a little less experience, and David would just whisper things in my ear and just kind of give me fun little notes, and I was able to do that. It was a lot of fun.
Well, Dwayne Dunham was here 2 minutes ago, and he told us a story about your scene, about how David Lynch was doing it over and over and over and over again, and then he ended up using all of this.
Yeah.
So, if you've been coming all week, if you were good, this is going to continue, everything's connected. Natasha, what did Lost Highway do for your career? Because it's such a cult classic, but it didn't make maybe the splash that everyone wished, but still you were Lynch.
I think for me it was like my first big kind of break. So I think it definitely helped my career and put me sort of in the front, more of the forefront for casting and stuff like that. It wasn't one of his more well-received films, but it certainly helped me. And then I think for me, just as an artist, it helped me feel like somebody like that believed in me, and so I could believe in myself, a little more.
As you should. I mean, so I think that's interesting. I think at the time, it was too mainstream for Lynch fanatics, but too out there for the mainstream.
Yeah, it is sort of interesting that happens. One of the questions I like to ask people who have careers like both of you is, who is someone that showed you an act of kindness in your career that sort of helped you along? Because I think as a society we all have to learn to be kinder to each other, and kindness really helps. So I'm curious if there's someone along your way. So I'm continuing to talk as if my question isn't over. So I can tell.
Do you have something? I can actually remember. I'm not sure it was an act of kindness, but it was very inspirational words from an actor named Ron Rifkin. It's fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, fantastic actor. He asked me what kind of band I want to be. It was, Elise and we drove the sisters together. And I came to him for some advice. And I thought that was some of the best advice I ever got.
It's incredible.
Just to sort of think about that.
Yeah. It's very honest. Appreciate it.
I remember I auditioned for an actor named Walter Hill. It was a Western, I believe, and I didn't get the part, but he wrote me this really long letter and he mailed it to me, and I just felt, that he took the time to write to me to say that it wasn't going to
going to open this up to some questions out here. If people have questions, while I go get the questions, each of you compliment each other. What did you
I can go over ages.
Well, I took care of a puppy at Balthazar when we were doing a movie in Tucson. You remember those dogs? He like adopted like 5 puppies or something and then promptly went to Los Angeles. So I took care of them and I took them with me into my rental car, went into a store, left them in the car, let the windows down, and when I came out, the police were there. Because they said that it was animal cruelty. So much for kindness on my part.
I love that. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
Questions, anybody? Who had seen the film before? Yeah? And anybody seen it on the big screen? Some. And was it fun? Did you enjoy it? Great to see it on the big screen as it was intended.
Hi, my name is Tyler, and this is my second time seeing the movie, I believe, and seeing the big screen was great, by the way. One thing I was curious about is the scene in which it showed that Pete kind of disappears in front of everybody. We're kind of, screaming out for him, and it's left very kind of ambiguous on what exactly happens. And I know you said, Mr. Lynch said not to worry too much about what it's about, but I'm always curious about how he described that scene to you and what exactly you're supposed to interpret is going on.
Is that the one where you're yelling?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I remember that night, it was really cold, and we were, your Lucy was there, remember? And that was complicated. So, we didn't actually need that much direction, I don't think, that night, because there was so much going on. Remember?
I mean, Gary Busey.
What more do we need to say?
The story is in the book, so it's out in the world. So you don't have to be asked once.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but to answer your question more directly, I mean, I don't think any of us knew exactly what we were making or what we were doing. We just, as you do, you just believe in it, and you're like a puppy. You just sit there and go chase him and do what he wants.
He doesn't want you to sort of have big ideas about the script or the film as a whole. He wants you to just sort of be with your character. Would you agree? Well, yeah.
Even different screenplay. I don't feel really want to like close in terms of the stage direction. I know people go way to the opposite, very sparse, like Lars von Trier, Bergman. What is their writing like, especially for this screenplay?
He doesn't, there isn't a lot of stage direction in the script. And then I remember we sort of go in with David and the DP and we just kind of easy block it, right? And then it feels very loose, but then it's also, there is a structure to it. Is that answering your question?
Yeah, I mean, but also David he's very specific about what's said and how it's said, and some directors like you to go off script a little bit, and Dave, on Twin Peaks, David let me play around a lot more with improv and stuff like that, but I remember on this, that he was sticking to the right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the dialogue was sparse in the script. I mean, it was not overwritten at all. It was like every sentence had a lot of weight to it. So when we would say the words, they really meant something. Also, there were lots of kids, like there were all like lots of scenes with not young kids, but like our age kids. And I remember he was just always so gentle and he's very calm and relaxed. Like the there's not a lot of stress at all. I mean, I don't know what it was like with you and Patricia, but the scenes I was in, like, he creates this atmosphere where you feel really safe. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you guys are obviously big Lynch fans, and you've heard interviews and you've seen, but he's got a very distinct way of speaking, and like something from the 1950s, says words like Neo.
Buttercup.
Yeah, and and I think he creates an atmosphere where everybody just wants to do right by him.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for being here tonight. My question is, have you seen other Lynch films before you were in this? And did you take anything from those films? Like, I was kind of thinking about how Blue Velvet is sort of a parallel with Balthazar's story in this one, being drawn into this kind of underworld. So, what was that experience like for you?
I mean, I was a huge David Lynch fan before this, and I had seen all of his films. So yeah, I mean, I think it was good to have an awareness of sort of his style, his taste, his touch. But again, when I remember specifically trying to talk to him about what the film was about as a whole, and him really dissuading me from trying to understand it or think too hard about it. He just wanted me to just be in the character. Because my character would know about the whole thing that was going on anyway. I just knew about what was going on with Pete.
Hey, thank you very much for making this movie. It's awesome. Do you think this has anything to do with like the underbelly of Hollywood at all?
The what?
The underbelly of Hollywood at all? Anything to that is at all?
I mean, I think it's about relationships and fidelity and jealousy and yeah, I mean, I think everybody walks away with kind of a different feeling about it, but I don't remember or feel that there were Hollywood undertones, but again, like, I remember reading the movie and then seeing it, and it was way more frightening than I thought it was going to be. Like, these are things that didn't come across in the script, and then when you finally saw it, you went, oh, that's what he was doing.
Yeah, and I think also, with him, so many artists, it's like they just want each audience member to take away what the film means to them, how it speaks to them. So, if you saw the Hollywood undertones, then that's what you saw.
And then we'll take a couple more questions, and then we'll be back with signing books and some books about Lost Highway. Interested, you have a question? Okay.
So you said there were kind of intensive rehearsals for this, right? Well, does David like to go straight into the text, or do you do any kind of weird, bizarre warm-ups or anything like that beforehand?
A lot of that for me, it's a pretty funny story. I thought it'd be a good idea to get a tan before first rehearsals, but I ended up falling asleep in the tanning bed and ended up looking like a wolf or something. And Dave was like, Balthazar, don't do that. Yeah, so that happened. And then I can remember with Patricia, he made us very early on sit very close to one another and look each other in the eyes, and just sit there for as long as we could. Yeah, which is hard to do. And yeah, so he definitely put us through our races. I can remember multiple days and rehearsals that I had with Natasha at the house. I'm not sure how it was.
No, I didn't have that.
I have a lot of body makeup.
barely hear you.
I'm sorry, just I really appreciate the comic relief timing of this film. I mean, you mentioned earlier Patricia Arquette kind of having the monotone style of acting for her role. I was curious if you have any inside jokes that you carried with you from the set or any time working with David Lynch.
Yeah, I actually do. I changed the words of the Tina Turner song recently with that. But I replaced all the words with Patricia's name. And I would sing it to her all the time, and I still do. So.
Natasha, tell us a little bit about your documentary and where people can see it.
I produced a documentary on my mom's life. It's called Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind. And it was released in 2020 on HBO or Max now, I guess. It's streaming on Max and I think Hulu too, maybe. I've retired from acting, everyone. Come on.
You're just taking the word. You're coming back.
They like recording.
Yes, of course. Balthazar, tell us where we can hear your music, get your fashion stuff, all your stuff and what you're working on.
I mean, you guys have the internet, right?
I've heard of this. Well, I'm gonna get growth soon.
It's all Getty, see what happens, I guess.
And the empire continues.
Yeah.
This is incredible that you come out here and do this. And I don't, Lost Highway didn't have its moment, but it's had its year after year, and it's grown, and that's what happens when you make true art. And both of you were a big part of that art. So thank you so much for coming and doing it.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having us.
There we have it. After that, we did a signing, which went really well, and they were both super kind. I really liked them. Pick up Firewalk with Me or Lost Highway at tuckerdspress.com. If you watched this right away, then you still have a couple days to get tickets for the Beverly Hills LA event at Lumiere Cinema, where we're screening Firewalk with Me on Friday and Lost Highway on Saturday, doing Q&As. And make sure you subscribe to the Blue Rose Magazine YouTube channel, because I have other of these putting up, and if you didn't see ones behind, I have the cast of Twin Peaks up. I've got me interviewing George Griffith about his movie that's going to be coming up, and then him interviewing me about Lost Highway. All kinds of great stuff. So thanks for everything, and we'll see you next time.